You've probably heard about attachment styles before, but you probably also wonder, what the heck does this have to do with me? What does it mean for my relationships? Why should I care? I'm going to tell you today why attachment styles are some of the most important things that you should know. I have people ask me, Adam, what's the biggest thing I should be testing for? Should I check someone's sign or check someone, whatever it is, their credit score? No. Check their attachment style. That will really tell you if you can work together with this person in your relationship. And while you're at it, check your own, because you may be the problem in your relationships. And if there's a problem, you can fix it. I'm going to show you how really quick. But here in this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know in a condensed version, no technical jargon, no master's degree needed. You don't have to go to school like me. I've done the work for you. I'm going to show you exactly what attachment styles mean for you and your relationships. So as always, if you want more information, you can check my website, adamlanesmith.com. I've got resources on there, including a free attachment styles guide that will be used with this video. If you go on there, you can check out my 4 attachment styles guide, download the PDF, have it sent to your email, check it out, and it includes the signs you should be looking for, how each attachment style forms, what the complicating factors are that you need to be watching for, and a couple of quick steps on how to fix it. I'll be covering a lot of that here in this video, but if you want a deeper dive, check out that attachment styles guide available on adamlanesmith.com. So let's drive right in. What the heck is attachment, and what is an attachment style? I've given this talk a few times, and I've narrowed it down to this piece right here that you need to know. Attachment is the way two human beings connect or attach to each other to give and receive love. It is supposed to form a mutually fulfilling circle where both people can openly state what they need, get their need met, meet the other person's needs, and make a pure circle of open fulfillment where you take care of each other's needs with no secrets, at full transparency. Yes, this sounds like a perfect ideal world. This is called secure attachment. Secure attachment is one of the 4 attachment styles. It is the secure attachment style on the secure attachment side. That'll make sense here in a moment. I'll show you. Secure attachment says I can be open and honest with other people about what I need, because most of them are going to work in good faith with me. If someone doesn't work in good faith, that person's weird. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it though. They don't define the world. Most people will be pretty reasonable. Secure attachment also says I'm a pretty okay person. I'm not the greatest. I'm not the worst. I'm pretty okay. In fact, I think I'm pretty good. And I'm going to get better as time goes on. I'm a work in progress. I don't have to be perfect, and people don't expect me to be perfect, and I don't expect them to be perfect. We can accept each other as long as people are coming in good faith, and we will work together on goals, and we will work together on mutual fulfillment, and things are going to be okay for the most part. Secure attachment style, as you can guess, has pretty low daily stress, pretty low stress relationships, really low drama, very easy to figure out, and they're very straightforward about what they need without stomping their foot or demanding or screaming at you. This is secure attachment. This is supposed to be given to us by our parents, especially if we have a wider family network that also includes this good attachment and bonding and connectedness. And if we are raised in a larger society with good attachment and care and nurturing, and raised in a maybe a religious community that also provides that nurturing, and a larger tribe or neighborhood or whatever network it is, there's supposed to be like 5 groups merging in to give us this good attachment wrapped around us. And it's not that the world has ever been perfect, but for much of human history, we had to live in functioning circles where we had 5 safety nets of people working mostly in good faith with each other, where they had to. They had to survive. It was crucial that people be able to be trustworthy and work together in mostly good faith, because your word was your bond. Your word was your life. Your word was everything, and you survived or not based on that word. And that's how families also function. Again, this is not to take a perfect idealized version of how the world has looked, but by and large, most situations were healthier than they are today. We've destroyed all 5 of those pieces. That's why many of you watching this are probably like, secure attachment sounds crazy. What was that, from a movie? Secure attachment is what about half of adults actually live with, is what the research shows. It's just that they separate themselves out from the insecure people. It's almost like 2 different worlds operating within the same culture. A secure attachment boils down to this. You can cooperate with other people and believe that they will give you good faith, and that you are worthy of that good faith, and that things will work out as long as you are just honest and work together to cooperate. That's secure attachment. Now you can see how this could get broken. And there's 3 different ways it gets broken. Really 2, with a third blending of the 2. So you can either split off when you're a child. You can split off and say, anxious attachment style. My family didn't give me the love and care I needed, and they were very critical of me, or they abandoned me, or I felt abandoned, or I felt uninterested or unwanted. Something went wrong, and I turned inward. I blamed me. I looked at myself and said, there's something on the inside everyone else can see. I can't see it, but there's something wrong with me that everyone else can see. And it makes them not like me. It makes them criticize me, makes them maybe hurt me. It makes them not really want me around. It's something wrong with me. I don't deserve to be loved. So it takes that secure attachment style and breaks it, saying everyone else is good, but not me. I am the problem. So no one will act in good faith with me if they see who I really am, because I don't deserve it. They'll exile me, kick me out, get away from me, abandon me. They will reject me because of me. So I have to lock down, be perfect, put up a fake front, be perfect, take care of everybody's needs, earn approval all the time, make sure everybody likes me, make sure everything goes right, make sure everyone around me is happy all the time. No one will ever abandon me. They'll never see what's wrong with me. I can never ask for my needs to get met. But what I can do is earn approval by doing 10 nice things for them, and maybe they'll figure out what I need in return if I deserve it. And this person, I'll talk about in a moment, in a little bit, we're going to talk about what this really means for relationships for adults, but this person sets out into the world to earn approval and get their needs met on a point-based system. This is not a good thing. The other way that this can get broken is avoidant attachment style. I'm not the problem. I've seen how these people treat each other. They are psycho. Everybody's a mess. Everybody's a problem. And no one on earth is capable of acting in good faith. I am the one and only person on earth trying to do right. And everyone around me is a bunch of shrieking apes. I can't be here. I'm going to have to protect myself from other people. And avoidant attachment can split into where you just stay away from other people. You don't manipulate anyone or hurt anyone. You're just worried and nervous and you stay away from other people. And you can be very high functioning, especially in the world of business, founding companies, tech, all that. I have so many clients come in who are in amazing financial positions, completely emotionally disconnected from everyone around them and very unhappy because life feels so unfulfilling. I have people like that flooding into my coaching practice. And I work with them, and you can fix it pretty fast if you're willing to, but that's one side of avoidant. The other side of avoidant is people are nuts and I need to manage them before they get to me. So you manage them, you manipulate them, you control them, you gaslight them. There's a varying spectrum here of avoidant that slides toward narcissistic personality disorder, over on the extreme end that some people get, but you develop more and more narcissistic traits the further toward that side of the spectrum you go. That's a malignant avoidant or a narcissistic avoidant. There's a ton of words for it. Dismissive avoidant is one that many people will use. That's that side. It's a high level of manipulation. That is no one will ever act in good faith with me, so I need to manage other people out of my fear to get my needs met. I got to manage them. And this is where a lot of the pain comes into our world of these types of avoidant people managing and hurting other people through manipulation. This is where a lot of the pain point comes from. Again, not that avoidant people are bad people. And again, there's giant divides between types of avoidant. But this specific segment of the population right here, so much of the pain. So much of the pain. There's that. Then third insecure style, fourth style total. Disorganized style, also then called anxious avoidant style. Now I believe it's called fearful avoidant style. They flip back and forth. They're both anxious and avoidant. They're so anxious and scared, but they keep getting hurt. And the people in their life kept hurting them. And love was inconsistent, or it was used for abuse, or they were abused, or things were just so chaotic and painful. They adapted so many avoidant traits that they are now anxious and avoidant, where they are fearful of themselves and fearful of other people. Maybe they've learned, maybe I'm not that bad, but I'm still not quite right, but something's not wrong. And they're completely chaotic back and forth. These are the people that react very strongly to perceived abandonment or perceived slights or perceived insults. You can't fire me because I quit in the middle of a relationship. And the other person's like, I wasn't going to fire. What? Huh? What happened? And they're confused. Then the person, oh no, what have I done? And they try to pull you back in, but then they push back out, but then they pull you back in. Pedestal, devaluing. Pedestal, devaluing. The extreme version of this would be borderline personality disorder, way up the top of that scale, but not the most of it. Most of it is not borderline. It just mimics some of those traits as you slide toward that direction. Anxious style is where the codependency comes in. Sliding down the anxious style, becoming more and more codependent, needing to be needed. Also a feature of the disorganized style could be. Variations of this within each person. But these are the attachment styles. This is what you need to know. Let's talk next about what this means for your relationships. Because once these people go out and get into adult relationships, you can see how secure people would see a lot of these behaviors a mile off. They don't want to be love bombed by the avoidant people. They kind of say like, why are you over flattering me? Why are you over romancing me? I'm over here. I'm just trying to be honest and open with my needs. You're not being honest or open with your needs. You're just overwhelmingly with kindness. That's kind of weird. Like, okay, well, we'll keep you right there. And then the avoidant person says, oh, that's not working. And they leave. The other avoidant people who are just nervous don't even get close enough to the secure people. They're like, I don't know what that person's doing. They're kind of weird. I've never seen anyone like that before. They're just asking me all these questions about my feelings and my thoughts and my experiences. They're being way too honest. Something is not right there. I'm just going to kind of back off. Just back off. The anxious people go to the secure people and they can't get their needs met. They can't be codependent and say, let me do something for you. Let me do something for you. Let me do something for you, please. And the secure person starts asking them serious questions about themselves. And the anxious person says, oh, you're going to see this evil part of me. So they start backing off too. And remember, the secure people, they move a little bit slower anyway. So the other insecure styles think that they're not interested because they're boring. They say, well, secure people are boring, or they're just not interested. I don't really know what they want from me. Plus, they're kind of intimidating. I don't really know what to... So the groups segregate out. Secure goes with secure, insecure goes with insecure. And this is why people will swear there is no secure person on the face of this earth. I've never seen one. I've never dated one. I've never been. Well, yeah, you're probably right. You probably self-selected out from them and they self-selected out from you. That's very unfortunately common for that to happen. What we need to do is work on throwing that switch and helping you become secure. I've got other resources for that. I've got my attachment bootcamp course. I've got all kinds of resources. Again, adamlanesmith.com, or click down in the description below, or click the link tree in my about page. You will find all kinds of resources if you want to change your attachment style and become secure. We're not going to talk about that today. I want to show you what these mean for relationships, because if you get in a relationship and you or the other person has an anxious attachment style, you will crave to be needed because you will believe you don't deserve love. So you have to play a constant deficit game where you are endlessly filling up somebody's bucket of love for you that has holes in the bottom, and you need to make them love you all the time. You'll have emotional impermanence where you think the moment you aren't filling that person's bucket, they are falling out of love with you. In fact, they now hate you instantly. It's been like 5 days since I heard from them. They wish I was dead. And they're over there like thinking like, hey man, I remember that guy. I haven't talked to him in 5 days. He's wonderful. I should contact him. And you're already planning the funeral of your relationship. You have doubly scheduled to commemorate the death of your relationship. This is anxious attachment style with emotional impermanence. This happens quite frequently. When you work on your anxious attachment style, you can fix that. But in that relationship, the anxious person will also often self-sabotage themselves endlessly in a series of being desperately unhappy in the relationship when they don't have to be. They mind read. They pretend they can read the other person's mind, and they ascribe the worst possible thoughts and insults toward them from the other person. It's like, wow, you're just using somebody else to insult yourself. That's what's happening. Now, an anxious person will most often destroy the relationship by doing 10 nice things for their partner, secretly hoping their partner will share their need, figure out their needs, figure out the code, crack the code, and come meet their needs and take care of them and make them happy. And the partner never will. So the anxious person develops resentment and resentment and resentment over months and months and months, then blows up and says, I've done all these nice things for you. Why can't you do even one nice thing for me? Then they go, oh no, what have I done? I don't deserve love. They're going to see that and they collapse back into people pleasing and approval seeking without ever really opening up about the transparency. This destroys the relationship. The avoidant people will love bomb you, typically love bomb you at the beginning and saturate you with oxytocin bonding. Saturate you with it so that you don't know what to do. And you get just it's flooded with this overwhelming good feeling. And what's happening is they know eventually they're going to back off. So they're setting a fish hook, basically, that is going to keep you strung along when they start backing off, when they get scared, because the nature of avoidant is to be scared of being close. They're not bad people. They are scared of getting hurt. So when they get too close and you start pushing for commitment or deeper connection, deeper talks, marriage, all of that, they start backing off. And the nervous people will just say, I don't know. I'm just kind of needs a little bit of space. I'm not really sure. I just kind of need some. And the malignant, like malicious people will say like, well, it's you, man. You're the problem. You're just too needy. You're too clingy. You're smothering me. Whatever it might be. Gaslighting will often kick in during that time because they can't get their needs met either without pushing your buttons. They will get their needs met one way or another, but they don't know how to work with you and just say, hey, here's my needs. Can we meet my needs? What are your needs? Let's meet yours too. They think that they have to take them. They think they have to convince you to give them up. It's playing the game. It's a lot of game playing. And disorganized is chaotic. It's wildly chaotic. No matter what you do, you are accidentally going to set them off, and they're not going to tell you why. They're just going to explode, end the relationship, and then go into desperate approval-seeking mode and try to get you back and then try to fix it and then try to destroy themselves and punish themselves in the process because all they can do is make themselves hurt to show you how serious they are about what they've done wrong. And it's just this process of watching them consume themselves. It's horrible. And it's chaotic for you, but it's more chaotic for them. That's the thing people don't get is people with this disorganized attachment style, nobody suffers from it more than they do. Again, they're not bad people. This is just the only way they know how to function, and they hate it. quite frankly. These are the attachment styles in relationships. And if you are dealing with these in your relationships, if you're in a relationship with someone like this, it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. If your friend, your cousin, your sister, your mom, your whoever is facing one of these attachment issues. Well, number one, if you are secure, you might understand a little bit more about why you're kind of backing off from them. If you are one of these and you understand now why the secure people have backed off from you, you understand why you have been suckered into relationships through love bombing. You understand that you are overwhelming and smothering the avoidant person. Maybe you are the avoidant person. You understand, oh no, I've been love bombing people without meaning to, without realizing what I was doing. That can happen. And if you're an avoidant person watching this saying, is it really possible for people to work together in good faith? Yes, it is. Really common for avoidant people to do that. And ask and wonder that, because it is. It's a big mindset shift from where you're usually at. Disorganized people watching this will probably say, oh, I hate every minute of this. Just tell me how to fix it. I have, again, tons of resources. Go ahead and check out the rest of my website or the rest of my YouTube channel here. I have 150 guides plus a tons of shorts. It's over 250 videos at this point here on this channel. Especially check out Adam Lane Smith, The Psychology of Attachment. Check out Fixing Your Attachment, and check out one video that I really am proud of called How to Improve Your Communication in Under 9 Minutes. Check that out over here on my YouTube channel. That will show you how to share your needs with other people, and it will show you what secure people get that insecure attachment styles don't quite understand. That will help you really make a big move in that direction. If you want more resources, check adamlanesmith.com. Again, I've got my attachment bootcamp video course. I have a private community of people who are becoming secure. So if you want to get that support from people and see what secure relationship looks like, they won't be able to say no because you'll be joining the group. So you'll pop into the community and we will be glad to have you there. And we will show you how to become secure like the rest of us. As you do this at work, as you improve, you will notice that your relationships start to heal and that you start to heal. That is the goal here through all of this work, is to build secure attachment. So I want to hammer that point home right here at the end. You can fix your attachment. You can become secure. Check all my resources. And by the way, drop me a comment down below. Let me know, what is your attachment style? Which one of these 4 did you identify most with? Do you find yourself craving approval? Anxious style. Do you find yourself worried about other people getting too close so you have to stay back from them? Avoidance style. Are you a blend of the two, the hot and the cold, and the you can't fire me, I quit, disorganized style? Drop that down and just say, you can't fire me because I quit. Just drop that down in the comments. Maybe you're secure and you're surprised and happy to learn that. I'm surprised and happy to learn that too. I get those comments once in a while. Hey, I just found out I'm actually pretty secure. I love hearing that news. Drop those comments down below. Let me know your style. And honestly, let me know how you feel about it.